Margins. I'm your host, Ralph Newell, and today we have with us, I'm going to say, an illustrious colleague, a person that I have loved and respected during my time working in higher ed, Dr. Walter Bumphus, President and CEO of the American Association of Community Colleges, better known as AACC. Welcome, Dr. Bumphus.
Good morning, and good to see you, Ralph. Thank you for
Yeah,
having me on.
yeah. Um, Gosh, I don't even know where to start. You're just talking about Dr. Royal, knowing so many different things about you. But it takes me back to a conversation we had, I don't know, years ago. And this kind of maybe gets into the arc of your career, but maybe want to go back a little bit even earlier than that. But your time in undergrad when you were at Murray State, and
Right.
I just couldn't believe that you and Dr. Atwater and Dr. Jerry Sue Thornton were all classmates. Just how did that come about that you guys met each other and
Well,
all have had great careers?
I had met Jerry Sue some maybe 20 years before that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
we met at church, summer school and programs at church. And that's where I
Hmm.
met Jerry initially and got to know her, the best of the best. We met each other. And then when I went down to Murray for a visit, she showed me around. As a result of that, I ended up deciding to go to Murray. The rest is history because we've been friends, and my mother knew her, and my family knows her very well. And so we've been dear friends, man, longer than I can count. I've
Right,
known
right.
Jerry Sue almost as long as I've known every member of my family. I have six sisters and had three brothers, and we've had a couple pass along the way. We've all aged a little bit,
Hmm.
but we got to know each other. And the irony of that is that none of us talked about going into higher education when we were in undergrad. We're all friends at that point in time. I think I was the first one to take a community college course, decided that I thought maybe I might want to look more into this community college and what that was about. I got a job offer at Murray State to work as a director of residence halls. Ended up enjoying that job and sort of focused my career on student development within higher education based on my job working in housing. And then the dean of students gave me a job working with what we call the Panhellenic Council, and then I worked with fraternities and sororities, and so it gave me an opportunity of working with students, and I enjoyed that immensely. That was the background, but Jerry, Sue, Ken, and I all ended up, ironically, choosing to work in community colleges. Jerry was the first because she went to Triton College in Illinois. I was approached by one of our professors at Murray asking me if I had any interest in working in a community college, and I told him I didn't really. I was happy working at Murray State. And he said, well, there was a college opening up in Arkansas. And this was 1974. I had the opportunity to go down and interview for it. Another irony is that Ken Atwater drove down for the interview with me.
Okay, wow.
I got the job, and the rest is history.
Hmm.
Ken ended up following me and going to Jackson, Tennessee to interview for a job. And he got that job working in student affairs. And before you knew it, we were all three working in community colleges, man.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Now, where did you say you and Jerry Sue met in church? Where did you guys grow up?
I was in Princeton, Kentucky.
Okay,
And
you Kentucky
he
guy.
was
Okay.
in Arlington, Kentucky. And we were about 30 minutes apart. But she was dating a guy that was in my community and actually a teammate of mine, former
Hmm.
teammate of mine, and he ended up going to Western Kentucky. And so Jerry came up and went to church, and I got to be good friends with she and a couple of her friends. And so, it's you know how that can go, and we
Hmm.
getting to know each other pretty well. And she became like a sister to me, man. She was my seventh sister, I guess you'd say, so.
Okay. Yeah, I knew Murray was in Kentucky, but yeah, I didn't think I realized that you were from Kentucky. That's probably why you're the one who introduced me to probably my favorite drink now, which is a smoked old fashioned.
Yeah, I remember that rap. Hey, look, I didn't have one last night, but I drink an old fashioned on occasion, man.
Yeah. So you got down to Arkansas and got into now, which school was that?
East Arkansas Community College in Forest
Okay.
City, Arkansas.
All right. So, that was your first taste of actually working on a campus. So, what inspired you to stay with community colleges? What did you like about it once you started working there?
More or less, it was the opportunities that
Mm-hmm.
colleges afforded not only me, but most leaders of color. I
Right.
found quickly that I could look at a career in a community college, and I was more or less looking at a job in a university. Not many opportunities for promotion or upward mobility in a university for leaders that looked like me. As I started looking at where I had seen leaders of color moving into the presidency, it was primarily in community colleges. I
Mhm.
decided early on that I needed to get a doctorate. And if I got a doctorate, I needed to think about where do I go from here in terms of my positions. I started to think about becoming really a vice president, and then a president.
With the current political climate we're in and all the anti-DEI stuff, how do you see us cultivating the next generation of leaders, specifically leaders of color?
I think about that a lot. I've got two daughters that have both chosen higher education as their career, and they love it and they're good at it. It concerns me greatly when I see what's happening with DEI, and the opportunities we have to both inspire and motivate young ladies and gentlemen to think about a career in higher education. The DEI piece for me has never been something where you gave a leader of color anything, but you just gave them the opportunity to earn. They had to earn the right to be promoted, earn the right to excel, and earn the right to show people what they could do. Dr. Royal, and I've
Mm-hmm.
had occasion to work with her now 2 or 3 times. And every time I give her a job or a task, she not only excels, she knocks it out of the park.
Mm-hmm.
Coordinated our annual meeting in Nashville, Tennessee. And it's the best one I've ever attended. And I probably have attended, I don't know, 40, I guess, over the years. And
Right.
she just does an exceptional job. And as you know, I have announced my retirement, and I talked to her about why not take a look at my position? Why not take a look at the opportunity? Why not you?
Right. Right.
Proven
Yeah.
that she could excel in every role she's had. And, I don't think there's any kind of glass ceiling anymore. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so many uh, Black female presidents, Hispanic female presidents, Asian female presidents. So
Mm-hmm.
I think the only limitation is the ideas that you have in your own mind about what you want to do.
Yeah. I mean, you obviously have been I think a great mentor to her and others. But who were some of the mentors or people that influenced you along the way?
Unfortunately, didn't have any mentors when I started in the business that were leaders
Hmm.
of color. Ralph, I didn't know any, to be honest with
Right.
you. As I worked in community colleges, I eventually met a few male African American males that had moved into the presidency. And while I wanted to ask them to be mentors, I just never had that relationship with them.
Mm-hmm.
And I got down at the University of Texas at Austin, where I did my PhD work, and people like John Roosh, whom uh, just sort of, I guess, unofficially took on the role of mentor to me, and with his experience and reputation, helped me out more than I could ever say or thank him for. And
Right.
Terry O'Banion, I don't know if you know Terry or not.
Yeah.
Okay, but John and Terry were guys, and that respect, that had already, sort of done the work, and they were kind enough to both introduce me to people and give me opportunities in terms of speaking engagements and uh, panel engagements and assignments that would give me some visibility. And that was more helpful than I had any idea it would be at the time. And
Mm-hmm.
got my name out there a bit. And as opportunities came up, I had people reaching out to me. And
Right.
so
Right. Okay.
those people would be the individuals that probably gave me, and Jerry Sue,
Mm-hmm.
and even though we're about the same age, she's been a mentor to me too over the years. And so I've learned a lot from Jerry, and she became a president before I did. She was
Right.
president at Cuyahoga, and she taught me a lot of lessons about some things to do, not to do, and it was very helpful to me. And even though I sort of climbed the ladder, if you will, in terms of positions and so forth, I was never that eager to have to do it real quick. But even
Mm-hmm.
so, I was a 24-year-old dean of students, which is young. Then I became a vice president at 29. And then I started thinking about becoming a president. And I think I was a president before I was 40, and
Okay.
which was pretty good from that standpoint. But it was not born out of anything except wanting to excel in the jobs I was in, and then taking opportunities to just grow and learn as much as I could, Ralph. I like to say, and I've told my daughters this, I've told others this, and that I wanted to learn from the best. And so I tried to read about what great leaders were doing. I actually would go and visit some presidents who were at least reputationally very successful at what they did. And so I wanted to observe how they ran their meetings. I wanted
Mm-hmm.
to know what they were reading in terms of their growth and development. Just whatever nugget I could pick up that would sharpen my skills. And
Yeah.
very important for me that if I was going to be in a role, I wanted to excel in that role.
Yeah.
I did whatever I could do.
Yeah. So prior to, coming to AACC, like you just mentioned, you had a number of roles, student affairs, VP roles to your presidential roles. Um, what were, some of the biggest challenges you faced along the way, in some of those previous roles, and how did you address them?
The biggest challenges that I faced, Ralph, were challenges of magnitude that I needed to get my arms around a given issue and
Mm-hmm.
trying to learn. I can recall being in Louisiana, and I didn't know much about VOTEX or technical education at that time. And
Right.
some of our main programs were technical programs, and I learned a lot in Louisiana. I'll never, ever forget some of the valuable lessons I learned. And I didn't have to learn by mistakes necessarily, because I tried to ask all the right questions before I did anything.
Right.
But working with good people down there, Louisiana was just a rare opportunity where not much had been done with community colleges prior to my arrival. And we had
Mm.
a chance to open up. We didn't open up a community college, but I was the second president of one of the community colleges. And it gave me well, the title was actually chancellor. And
Mm-hmm.
I had the unique opportunity of hiring a lot of the faculty and staff. And that was, that was an eye-opening experience as well. And then we had to build buildings, and I hadn't built many buildings until I got to Louisiana. And so I had worked in terms of designing some buildings when I was at Howard Community College. We designed what we called a one-stop shop there. And that was a good opportunity. And then when I got to Brookhaven, I was actually able to build a building, and it was built along the concept of form following fashion. And
Mm-hmm.
anyway, form
Oh,
following function, not fashion, but
I got you.
it was a major building, and it served as the front door of the campus, and became something that I forget how many colleges came in to visit the concept and visit the college to see what we had done. And we had a lot of folks that would come down and take pictures and videos, and several other colleges built buildings based on the concept that we envisioned at Brookhaven in Dallas.
Speaking of challenges, your time in Louisiana, you unfortunately had to go through Hurricanes Katrina and Rita.
That's
I know you helped lead a lot of the efforts there that affected the institution in the area. But from that, what lessons did you learn from that time to, I don't want to say today, but just a few years ago at AACC to help lead community colleges through COVID? How would you compare those two?
lots of communication first and foremost.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what got us through the Katrina and Rita days were the communication meetings that we set up to make sure everybody knew what we were doing and we knew what they were doing, ways we could help them. Something as simple as making sure they got their paychecks, Ralph.
Yeah.
So there were folks that they weren't sure if they were going to continue to be paid or not. But we paid folks, we met with folks, and a lot of one-on-one communication with my staff, with people that were maybe in New Orleans or in Shreveport or whatever. I wanted to make sure that we didn't have anyone feel that they were by themselves or
Mm-hmm.
an island. And so I convened, had a lot of convenings where we brought people together in Baton Rouge, and you know tried to hear what their issues were, look at ways in which maybe we could help them. I know it sounds like it was tough, and it was tough, but those
Mm-hmm.
were good days, man. I really got to know some folks in a way that I probably wouldn't have gotten to know them otherwise. We
Mm-hmm.
have hurricane parties. We had a lot of good times during that period of time. It was tough, but it was a very interesting experience for all of us.
So coming out of that, you in Louisiana, that was your last stop, right? Prior to coming to AACC, right?
No,
Oh, you went somewhere else.
I went to the University of Texas at Austin as a
Oh, right, 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 right. I remember that part.
professor
Okay.
and chair of the Department of Educational Administration.
Okay.
And that was another unique experience, having an opportunity to hire university faculty,
Mm-hmm.
researchers, and the like. And I had never done that before, but I really enjoyed that role.
So then what inspired you to try for the role at AACC?
I received several calls from
Mm-hmm.
members of the AACC board, people who were on the AACC staff, asking if I had any interest because I had not applied initially. And
Okay.
truthfully, I didn't think I would want to do this job. And
Mm-hmm.
I decided, after a great deal of encouragement, to go ahead and put my hat in the ring and then just explore and see what it would be like. And I enjoyed my experience of interviewing with the board at that time. I think that was 2010.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but it really started to appeal to me, the opportunity to execute a vision of what I wanted to do, execute the vision I had of trying to do another, I think it was called the Truman Commission or something another back then. And I wanted to do something that would give me an opportunity to work with folks around the country and come up with some ways in which we could identify new leaders, new initiatives, new learning strategies. Everything that we thought about, I tried to put it together in what we
Mm-hmm.
call the 21st Century Commission on the Future of Community Colleges. Identified probably 30 to 40 leaders that I had respected and admired from around the country. And we had several meetings, and then I talked with some corporate leaders who liked the ideas that I was espousing. And before you know it, man, we were off and running. We were able to take those ideas and bring them to fruition. And the report turned out to be a seminal report on what was happening in community colleges, and most importantly, where we might need to go
Hmm.
to be more effective. And went back and got Angel Royal. She joined me up here. She had worked with me in Louisiana, and a couple of other folks that I knew. So
Yeah, I remember when you got there, and that's 2010, 11. But it's been a quick 15 years, I tell you.
it
Uh,
was a quick 15 years. I interviewed in 2010, got the job, and I think it was May of 10, and
mhm.
started working part-time here in the fall of 10, and then I started full-time in January of 11.
So during that, your 14, 15 years there, what would you consider to be the most significant achievement during that time? Maybe your legacy that you're leaving behind.
I don't know about a legacy. That's for others to determine. I've enjoyed my time here. I would have to say the work we did during COVID, when the government and when others were putting funds out and distributing funds to support higher education and so forth, we were able to put forth a compelling case that community colleges need to be funded along the same lines and the same basis as universities.
Hmm.
What started off to be maybe a smaller amount of money for community colleges ended up being equal to and better than what universities were getting. And so the fact that we were able to put together a compelling argument and case for that might have been at least one of the lower key things that I did, but something that
Hmm.
might have had the most impact. Because
Yeah.
when you were getting resources out to colleges that desperately needed them,
Hmm.
that was significant. I've also played a role with our leadership development programs.
Hmm.
We had them, I didn't create them. They were created prior to my arrival, but I've been able to invest my time and energy in hopefully making them better. And we got a lot of work to do. And
Yeah.
I'm going to dedicate a lot of my time between now and the time I depart on our leadership development programs. I've been
Hmm.
working with Dr. Royal on an initiative that we have deemed are dedicated to what we call AACC 5.0, and that's trying to put on steroids all the things we're doing and doing well. And
Hmm.
we'll continue to do that. But we've got some initiatives that I think are going to be really exciting. And I hope to be able to roll those out no later than August of this year.
Okay.
Stay
Um,
tuned on that one, man. We might have some things you might find interesting.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You mentioned, getting the funding up to par, especially as it relates to four-year institutions. It's gone under the radar to me, or at least I haven't heard anything. But has community college funding been threatened at all recently? Like some of the other institutions.
No, not to the extent some of the universities have,
Hmm.
but we don't have the endowments and we don't have the great resources as our in our institutions as some of the
Hmm.
four-year universities and colleges have. Uh, we have equal concern about when there's a threat to a program like NSF,
Hmm.
that we have those programs too. We
Right.
have some research programs, and so we haven't been threatened with cuts, but people are well aware of the threats that are out there. They have the same anxieties as some of the university staff have in that regards.
So, as you wind down this calendar year, what do you think AACC needs in a successor, and what advice would you give him or her?
I'm sure they won't need my advice, Ralph. I'm sure they'll hire someone that will be up to par and ready to assume the job on day one. But we just need someone that cares, someone that will listen to staff. We've got some really dedicated people that work here. talented people with good experience, and need someone that can come in and inspire them and continue to work with them to meet the needs of our colleges and do that, meet the needs of our students, you know. So
To be a good leader, and you're definitely a good leader. I think you have to have some personal qualities about yourself that resonate with people. What would you say some of those qualities that you have that have helped you along the way?
again, that's for others to say, Ralph. I think the most important thing that I
Hmm.
do is I listen.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
try to make sure that not only am I listening and I'm hearing them, people talk, but I try to put myself in their position sometimes. I try to think about how might I uh, do a particular task and what support would I need. And I try to make sure that I'm doing everything that I can to help our young men and women as they're coming up the corporate ladder in community colleges, giving them a chance. You know, I remember when I was that 25-year-old or 24-year-old dean of students, and I recall thinking nobody's listening to me sometimes, you know,
Mm.
and I
Yeah.
recall thinking about what can I do to uh, have the board know these are unique skills and strengths that I have as a leader. And
Hmm.
sometimes you don't want to say, hey, I'm over here, but you just want to be able to be recognized for the work you're doing and
That's
appreciate
good. Hmm.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's
And
a
I
good
try to
thing.
let folks know I appreciate them often.
Right now, you're not closing the book. You're just ending the chapter. So, what's going to be next for you?
Oh, next is just going to be going to Austin, Texas, and spending more time with my wife and my family down there. I got grandkids now that are eager to spend more time with their papa, and you know we have a good time together. So I don't have any designs on another job or doing more work. If I wanted to do that, I'd stay here. But
Right.
I truthfully, I'm just looking forward to resting and relaxing and enjoying a little, maybe a little more travel. I don't like to travel that much, and my wife gives me a hard time about it. We went to Europe 2 summers ago, and I did have a really good time.
Hmm.
Enjoy, you know, there are some places I just enjoy going and relaxing, but
Yeah, no, it's interesting you said you didn't like travel because I've always thought about you having to go back and forth between DC and Austin.
that's
So,
why I don't like travel.
okay,
uh,
okay, yeah,
I'm reminded I do plan to write a book,
okay.
and I'm going to work with Dr. Royal in all likelihood to both try to capture what I've done, try to capture the essence of what's going on around the country now in higher
Mhm.
education and with community colleges, and maybe come up with some recommendations of things we can do that would make life better for a lot of our students and a lot of our citizens. I just
Mhm.
think there's so much more we can do as a people, and that would be something that would appeal to me.
Yeah, okay. I guess also give you more time to watch your beloved Cowboys too, right?
Yeah, my Cowboys and the
Yeah,
Lakers. I'm a sports fanatic, man. I enjoy
yeah,
all
yeah.
this.
Yeah. I always think about the other conversation we had one time. I guess your time at Howard that you were working with Phil Chenier.
Yeah, Phil was on my staff, and
Hmm.
he, you know, Phil played basketball in the NBA, and so we
Yeah.
used to have a lot of runs, man, together with a lot of the folks that lived in Columbia.
Hmm.
Bernie Bickerstaff is a good friend of mine. He's from
Hmm.
Kentucky as well, and so we struck up a friendship when I lived in Columbia, Maryland.
Hmm.
And, we had a lot of folks over there that were good people, and Bernie ran a camp. I don't know if you ever knew a guy by the name of David Dupree.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know Dave?
I don't know him personally. I know exactly who you're talking about.
You
Yeah.
know what I'm talking about? Okay, well,
Yeah.
David, his wife, Donna, and Eileen, and Eileen's my wife. We still do dinners together, play cards together, and do some things socially. But
Mm-hmm.
David and Phil and Bernie all ran a basketball camp for me over at Howard, and
Okay.
I was able to, put my kids in it, and a lot of folks, and it's been beautiful to watch some of these young men and women now that are playing ball who grew up learning their skills in our camp.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a fun thing to watch develop and unfold.
Yeah, I remember when I first came to Black Issues in Higher Ed and I was working with the video conferences. Phil used to sign up for him, and I saw his name, and I remember it as a kid, him playing basketball.
Yeah,
I said, it can't be the same guy,
yeah,
And we were on the phone one day, and I asked him, and he said he was. I said, oh wow, so okay. But yeah, then the connection with Bickerstaff, and I didn't know, realize David Dupree was part of you guys as a group too. So
yeah. David's just a very sharp guy. When I first met him, he was a reporter for the Washington Post.
exactly.
He left the Post and went to USA Today.
Mm-hmm.
And David's a very talented guy, very
Yeah.
talented guy.
Yeah.
And so is
Okay.
Bill, David, and Bernie as well, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Bernie's, well, his son was coaching here for the Wizards for a minute, but I
Yeah,
think
his
he's somewhere
son
else
now,
now.
the head coach in Detroit,
That's where it is. Okay, I knew I saw him somewhere recently. Yeah,
Detroit
in
Pistons,
Detroit.
yeah.
Yeah.
And he went to Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
From here, I think he went to Cleveland, and Bernie became a general manager after his coaching career, and
Right.
still gets called to help and player personnel issues.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, no, I truly appreciate you, taking the time to share with us your career arc and how you see things. And if you want to look into the future, I'll ask you, what advice would you give to the emerging leaders, not just in community colleges, but in higher ed?
I would start by telling folks, or at least sharing with them, know who you are as a leader.
Mm-hmm.
You got to understand yourself before you can start to help others grow.
Mm,
And don't be too full of yourself. Learn how to laugh at yourself, and take your work seriously, but not yourself, man. And try to be helpful as you can
yeah.
to others. I think I get more from helping people grow than anything else that I do. Seeing young leaders develop, and even if they're making a few mistakes along the line, but it's
Mm-hmm.
nothing better than seeing someone not make the same mistake twice, having them understand how they made the mistake and what they could do differently. Because most folks, I think, want to do the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
Many times they don't know what the right thing to do is. And so helping them, better understand their role and what they need to do to grow and develop. I haven't met anybody yet that doesn't want to be proficient and good at what they do, but sometimes they just don't have a clear understanding and idea of how to do that. And,
Right.
you know,
Okay. All right, Dr. B, I appreciate your time and wish you nothing but the best and thank you for, definitely all the support you've given us over the years. And hopefully we still can reach out to you when you're retired.
anytime.
Yeah. Get
And
that quote
thank
or
you for
something.
your support, Ralph, and the whole diverse family, because you guys have been really good to me along the way, and my whole journey. I can count on the founders, and count on many of the folks that have worked in the magazine of being at least shining a light on some of the things I was doing, or my college was doing, or our system was doing. And certainly you guys have been supportive of AACC, and we appreciate that.
And you're welcome and thank you because we just meeting this morning and talking about that. You you echoed exactly one of the things we've been talking about for years here, of our interest always being in community colleges because so many people of color um, are in community colleges, and that is where there was some mobility. So it was kind of good to hear you say that because it made it more than just an anecdote. That it's a good feeding ground, if you will, for not only students but also for faculty, staff, and administrators.
Great point.
So yeah, we definitely going to lean into that and into student success because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about for us, and we want to
But
look at
true,
and cover.
so true, my friend.